Hello, friends. Hi, how are you? I do hope that you are doing okay. Today, I want to talk about the gentrification of African cities. Gentrification simply means the process by which the foreigners, foreign nationals, and foreign investors move into a poorer countries, into their urban cities, okay, to either start businesses or to live. So what happened is when they move in, these foreigners comes in with foreign currencies and they purchase properties, lands, and they build new new constructions or remodel the old constructions. And when this is done, they put it up on a very high prices for sale or for renting, and that's the locals cannot be able to afford. And in fact, most of the locals are being asked to move from their places of business because someone richer wanted to purchase those properties. So gradually, the locals are, eventually move out of the urban cities where they were born and raised, to the other suburban towns. Gentrification also impacts the local people economically. It does impact their quality of life and their standard of living. Because guess what? With the presence of foreigners with big pocket and with foreign currencies in their nations, okay, they have to, buy from the same market, okay, with these wealthy people. And guess what? The traders or the businessmen and women, hikes the cost of commodities, the cost of items, food, everything up because they are preying on the foreign currencies from the foreigners. Okay, so but this, don't forget, it is the same market that everybody buys from. Okay, both the locals and these foreigners buy from the same market, and the more the price of things goes up, the more that the locals, cannot be able to afford, and their life is getting more complicated, and the sufferings and hardship, it gets even worse. Yeah, but someone can tell me, okay, yeah, they come with jobs, they create jobs. Yes, that is true. But again, at what cost? And at what living wage do they pay? Okay, because what I notice for the most part is when these, foreign investors move into these poorer countries, they are actually looking for a few things. They are looking for tax heaven, where they, pay little or no taxes, where they're gonna get, a cheap or little, resources, what will I say, raw materials, for their manufacturing, and where they're going to get a cheap labor. Okay, so my question is, for the argument of they are creating job, my question is, at what living wage? Okay, because our African governments doesn't check and balance them. There is no regulations. They just put our people through cheap labor and pay them peanuts, literally pay them peanuts. So they, utilize our lands, utilize our raw materials and our people, everything cheap, and even doesn't even pay their fair share of taxes to these countries. So they are maximizing profit they cannot even maximize in their home countries. You've got to understand that is a reason why they want to move into these poorer countries, to exploit. So yeah, they create job, but what kind of job? And at what uh, wage? So what happens is like even the job they are created for the most part, they don't pay anything. They pay just a peanut. And the locals cannot cope with the inflation and the high cost of things in their country by the presence of the foreigners in their country with the little peanut that is being paid to them. They cannot cope with it. So what sense does it make? Even if they give you a job, but they not pay you enough, to be able to afford a living for yourself. That's what it is. So when next anybody says that they are creating a job, the next question is, how much are they paying to our people? How much is the living wage? Because I'm not seeing any of the African governments trying to put in place a minimum wage. Okay, if these people, can pay minimum wage in their home countries, like in Europe or in America, maybe in America $10 per hour. So it would be fair and appropriate to pay our people at least an equivalent of $7 an hour. But no, they don't. Our governments don't care. So they can pay them, if they want, they can pay them about $1 for an hour. This is exploitation. Does it sound familiar? You know, this was what happened in the 1600 through 1900 when they enslaved our people and took our families out of the shores of West Africa into the modern world. Okay, so literally our ancestors built these countries, okay, free. It was a free labor for 300, 400, 500 years. Okay? Okay, people? Okay? So let it sink. People who can be able to enslave our ancestors for centuries and have them walk completely free for them. They're not coming to Africa to create a job for you. It's another exploitation, it's another free labor or cheap labor. That's what it is. So we need to pay attention. So yeah, and then but today, no, back to the slavery. Then after the slave trade, when it ended, now they colonized the whole entire West Africa. That is what is called scramble and partition of West Africa by European countries. So what are they doing? Okay, they loot our raw materials, okay, then build manufacturing industries in our soils, take our people for cheap or no, not in cheap labor, okay, to produce, in the manufacture and produce commodities for them, and after which they will export it to their countries, to sell in their home countries. This is how, African wealth, developed all those Western countries that we are running to go. Okay, our people, okay, and our wealth develop their countries. That's a fact. Okay, so with the history, what they have done already, okay, I don't know why anyone would think that, oh, it's all about Rosie, they are coming to Africa to help us, to invest, to do blah blah blah. No, I'm not saying that foreign investment is not good, but their operations in African countries has to be strictly regulated. They have to be strictly regulated. There have to be certainly minimum wage in place to protect our people from exploitation. They have to pay their fair share of taxes. Of course, this land sale has to be restricted. Okay, at worst, at the least to be to lease those lands. How can they be allowed to buy hectares of farmland in our nation? Another implication of gentrification is that he who plays the pipe dictates the tune. Okay, when they make this so much wealth in our countries, they own the lands, they make all the wealth, they are in charge, they are in control of the economy. And whoever controls the economy is in charge. They control our politicians, our leaders, and us. They control everything about our country. Our politicians are just the puppets. They do their bits. Okay? If this is not losing our independence, I don't know what it is. Because you know what? We gave them the opportunity to come in to run our country, grab our resources, loot our resources, grab, and then, just give them unlimited access to everything. When was the last time you, as a black person or as a person of color, is given that much access in the Western countries? When? I don't blame those people. Because you know what? The slavery and the colonization has not stopped. It's been ongoing, it's been continuous. Rather, they continue to change the formats. Okay? Listen again. The very much agenda of the slavery and colonization of Africa is capitalistic, cheap labor, to maximize economy. This is still ongoing. They've never stopped. It's continuous until this day. And they will not stop. Because as long as they are making huge money and building generational wealth for themselves at our detriment, they are not going to stop. And it's not their fault, because it is us. We are responsible, okay, to be smarter in 2022. We are responsible to protect our land, our resources. We are responsible to protect our nations. So if we let them, well, very soon, we can't be able to buy lands, any piece of land in our own countries. Then we become their tenants. We won't have any choice but to rent from them. If we continue to let this crazy phenomenon continues in Africa, we won't be able to own a piece of land in our country. We won't be able to control our economy. They will eventually be controlled. It's happening in some of the African countries. I don't want to call names. I don't want anybody hating on me. But I know that, certain African countries, the economy of certain African countries are controlled by foreign expatriates. And that is bad. Because they've taken over. Our governments are lazy. They do not want to put in the work to build our GDP. African people are very hardworking and very industrious by nature. If we develop countries across the world for centuries, why can't we develop ours? We have the potentials, but we have corrupt, inept, clueless, incompetent leaders, lazy, who doesn't want to do a job. They just want to cut corners. They just want to cut corners. Anything that is going to, raise their GDP, superficially, without paying attention to any future implications of what they are doing now. We can do it. We can invest in our country. We can, build our economy. We don't need these people. If they have to come, it has to be under our terms and conditions. We have to be in control. We have to regulate them to the last letter. Because they're not coming to us because they love us. They're coming to us because they want to evade high taxations in their countries. They're coming to us because they don't want to pay the minimum wages in their countries. They're coming to Africa because that's where they can, pay people 50 cents an hour. They are coming to us to use our lands to maximize profit. Hello? We need to stop. We need to wake up from this slumber. We need to wake up and shake off this slave mentality, or this somehow the thoughts that these people are superior in everything that they're doing. They must be very superior. No. They are driven by economics and capitalism. They're not there because, somehow you are developing your God. I often see some African people, some African nations bragging, thinking that because they are having influx of foreigners in their country, and for some reason they are better off than every other African countries. They are more developed, they are more sophisticated, they are more loved. Oh my God. When I look at these people, I just shake my head. They have no clue. They have no clue what they are into. Okay? From the next 10 years from now, or next 15 years from now, they look back, they are into full colonization. If they are coming into your countries, most of these, foreigners, and let me make it clear, it's not about foreigners that I mean, it's not our cousins, the children, the descendants of our families that was forcefully removed from us in the 1600s through 1900s. I'm not talking about our, our distant cousins across the globe. I am not talking about people of African descent. Africa is their home. They are welcome back or anytime. This is not who I am talking about. So I want to make it clear. I'm talking about the colonialist. We've been through this in 1600, 1800, 1900. We've been through this and it's happening again, and we Africans continue to let it happen. And we're going to have ourselves to blame. And let me tell those people, those Africans that is really celebrating of these Muzungus all over their countries and driving them away from their cities. Come on. If they are all over you, that means, your governments are puppets. Okay, they don't go to, countries, African countries with a stronger government that is going to at least stand up to them and at least give them terms and conditions. If they are influxing into your nations, then either your government is clueless or they are complicit. But you're not going to find it. You're not going to know. You're not going to realize the implications. We are creating problems for future generations. So we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention. This is scary. This cannot continue. This cannot continue. Yes, foreign investments is good, but it has to be strictly regulated in such a way that our land will be protected, our people will be protected from another form of exploitation. Africans are not born to serve these people until the end of the world. But I'm not even blaming them now. I am blaming our ineptitude. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. You have a nice day. Keep cool and keep hydrated because it's becoming so hot. Peace.